Is pulling one tooth really not a big deal? Let me show you. This here is an example of a person that just lost a tooth. This is an example of what happens after the tooth is lost. You get a lot of shifting forward, you have the tilt, you can see the bone looks like this, looks like almost like an L shape, whereas here it's more curved, almost straight. You can see here the super eruption of that tooth. This tooth here goes down. And you can see the black where it's represented here, because now you're going to get more cavities in these areas. This tooth here is going to shift this way a little bit to this side, which creates space, which then introduces more plaque. So now you have bone loss because now you have bone tilting. You have the roots that are showing on this tooth, whereas before the roots were not showing. Now the roots are showing, which now you have more trap in between these two teeth here. So that is a simple explanation as to what happens if you lose only one tooth. But check this out. This here is a pan. This pan shows all the teeth are there, all of them. Sure, there's a little bit of dentistry, there's a little bit of fillings there, it's not a big deal, but you can see the bone level. Now check this out. This person has lost two teeth. Now your claim, Charmaine, your claim that losing one tooth is not a big deal, I showed you diagrammatically, but here I'm going to show you using x-rays, using real examples. So here you can see that these teeth here, the bottom two, right there, the two molars, they've now shifted. They've tilted this way. And how I know is because if you compare the space where the tooth was, if you compare the space here and the space there, you can see that this space is a lot smaller than this one. Both have lost the exact same tooth, but they haven't been replaced. Now, the thing that you're not seeing is that because of this tilting and because of this, this thing here, now there's a redistribution of the bite force, what we call in science equilibrium. So in other words, whenever you lose a tooth, your entire jaw basically has to reform itself in order for you to still function properly. Unfortunately, what that means is you start getting a lot of these changes that cause a ripple effect. Now, the ripple effect causes you to lose more teeth because now you're putting more stress on teeth that shouldn't have any stress on them. Additionally, now your biting force is actually much different than it was when you did have teeth. Now, check this out. Check what happens and how people start to lose teeth over time. Look at this. So this is another person, not the same as the previous ones I showed, but you can see here that it becomes a domino effect of people losing teeth because two things happen. One, mentally speaking, when you have convinced yourself that losing one tooth is not a big deal, then losing another one is not a big deal, and then losing another one is not a big deal, up until the point where now you're really suffering because as you can see, now this person has a lot of dentistry in the areas that they've lost teeth. So you can see huge filling there on this tooth, huge. You can see super eruption on these teeth with a big filling, huge filling on this one, and a big filling on this one. And you can see the mesial tilting. You can see there's a little bit of bone loss here. There's a lot of things that are happening. And what you also can see and notice on these teeth here, now they've super erupted. They've gone upward in order for them to meet the upper. So now you have a complete imbalance in bone morphology. And you can see the premolar there on the upper tooth. You can see it's basically ground down because now your bite's you're trying to find ways for you to still function. Well, now you're going to basically destroy your teeth until you start losing more and more teeth. Now, this progression keeps happening because you've convinced yourself that losing a tooth is not a big deal. And now you're basically saying, well, I've lost a tooth, I'm functioning still properly, but you're not noticing that there's a lot of changes that are happening in your mouth, let alone there's a lot of changes that are happening in your lifestyle as well, because don't tell me you can chew on steak or anything that's chewy with these kind of teeth. You can't. So now your quality of life has decreased, which is obviously going to affect your mental health big time. Now look at this tooth here. This tooth has now shifted this way. How did that end up, do you think? Because that's what happens over time. As you're chewing, you're trying to find a way for you to meet the teeth so you can actually still chew. This causes this effect. You can see both of these teeth. And if you were to rewind this video, you'll see originally the teeth are more upright. Now these ones are all the way like this. This person wasn't born like that. This happened over and over again. And all you have to do is you have to Google consequences of missing a tooth. Or for this one, to type pan missing teeth. Pan is panoramic. This is short for panoramic. Pan missing teeth on Google, and you'll see these images. Okay, so that's what's happening. Now, this keeps happening over and over again. You can also see there's crowns here, there's crowns on this one. So there's more dentistry, big filling there, crown here. So I'm telling you, this keeps happening over and over again until the point where you lose all your teeth. Now you can see the amount of bone on the mandible, the lower jaw, is not the same as the first image that I showed you with the person with all the teeth, thick bone. This one, very thin bone, very fragile. You may think that this person's old, but this person may not be old. But I'm telling you, because you miss teeth, you're looking at this, you're like, oh, probably 95-year-old person. Well, that could be a 20-year-old person. Because when you lose all your teeth, your bones start to atrophy. I'm going to show you the example. This here is an example of someone, I know it's diagrammatical, I know it's animation, but it proves the point. If you were just to cover her face, cover it from this part down. Okay, so cover it on the video from this part down. You're going to see her eyes basically are the same. From this point upward is the same. The only difference is this part of her face, which is, do you see her nose has drooped down? Her upper lip is more inward. Her mandible, her lower jaw is more up and looks like it's thrusted forward. This is all because of missing teeth. When the person misses just the front teeth on the front, that causes a loss of support, not only for the upper lip, but it also causes loss of support for the nose. You can see the nose collapsed because this is not collapsed. There's not enough support in order for them to maintain it. Same thing with the lower. Because there's not enough of a height in the bite, what we call vertical dimension of occlusion, that's the fancy term for just telling you that there's height in the bite. When the person loses the height in the bite, what happens is that they get a collapse in the bite. So it's not necessary for someone to lose all their teeth for them to start looking like this. This is an extreme example. But if you start losing teeth and you start grinding down your teeth, you're going to start losing the height of your bite. Losing the height of your bite is not going to cause you to start looking older. No amount of rolling your face with these Amazon kind of gadgets is going to help. No amount of Botox, no amount of fillers, no amount of cosmetic enhancements using surgery or facelifts or whatever is going to help you. Because at this point, you don't have teeth. You're always going to look old. And there are people in their 20s that have lost their teeth that look just like this in their 20s. So you can see simply by maintaining your teeth, it literally makes you look younger. So you age gracefully as opposed to aging very, very quickly, because this is also going to affect your mental health big time. So my friends, please understand that losing one tooth is always a big deal because there's a domino effect. So please, I implore you, if you've watched this up until this point, please forward this and share this with as many people as possible. And if you are telling me that you can't afford it, I'm telling you right now, in 2025, today is 18 March 2025. I'm telling you that you can afford it because a lot of dentists, my clinic included, do offer payment plans. And it allows you to actually afford dentistry. So don't use that as a crutch. Make sure you maintain your oral health, because otherwise your life is going to be completely different. Your quality of life is going to drop. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.